Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again with yet another deck tech from Dominaria United. This one I believe comes from one of the Commander decks, and it is one of the most complicated creatures that I've ever had to try and build a deck around for this channel. I found it very difficult. It's a complicated one. There's a lot of interaction on the card that we need to think about. It's not Joda, if anyone says. Joda's out earlier in the week, a couple of weeks ago now. But this one is really complicated. I find it really difficult to think of a way to make this work, and it took me a lot of thinking about. So, without further ado, here's the Lady of Otaria. I'm joking, it wasn't that complicated. 3 green and red for a legendary create avatar, 5/5. You may tap 3 untapped dwarfs you control rather than pay the spell's mana cost. And at the beginning of each end step, if a land you control was put into a graveyard on the battlefield this turn, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put any number of dwarf cards from among them into your hand and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, to a certain extent, it is a bit complicated. First bit, easy. As many dwarfs as you can find. There's no green dwarfs, which is why I'm very surprised that this Lady of Otaria is green and red. I couldn't find one green dwarf. Yes, I could have gone down the route of using shapeshifters. There are some green shapeshifters kicking around. They could have gone and pretended to be dwarfs, but it didn't seem right to me. And it's more of a fun tribal deck, this one, than anything else. However, the second ability, at the beginning of each end step for the land you control is put in a graveyard from the battlefield this turn, is more challenging. It is quite a nice way of drawing cards if you got this in play. So I needed to find ways in which we can get lands sacrificed into the graveyard so we can actually go through our dwarfs. I'll go through all the dwarfs and everything else. There's a couple of non-dwarfs as well, but I'm sure you'll understand the reasons as to why when I get there. But I think it's worth talking about the mana base on this one. Ooh, she went big when I was moving her. Apologies. Let's make her a little bit smaller quickly and move this up a bit. Ooh, right, okay. So I've gone down the line of we need to find lands and get them. When we get Lady Otaria in play, we need to get lands going from play into the graveyard. So there are a lot of search lands in this deck. So we've got Arid Mesa, we've got Blighted Woodland, we've got literally every single one of the lands from Streets of New Capenna that can either search for a forest or a mountain. So they're all here. I've chucked in Evolving Wilds, Fabled Passage as well. There's Maestro's Theatre, there's the other one I was talking about. And a little bit of things further down. Terramorphic Expanses in as well. There's not a great many, but that's a starting point, so we can hopefully get some triggers. You know, our opponents might blow up our lands anyway. To help with making sure we keep all the dwarfs in hand once we find them off the second ability of the lady, we've got Reliquary Tower in as well. That's in. I've also, just for the laugh factor, chucked in Gaia's Cradle. You do not need Gaia's Cradle in this deck. I've put it in purely for me to try and benefit from in the long run. But it's there. If you want to take it out and put another forest in, put another mountain in, it's probably a better bet. Now, as you've noticed, we've only got 3 actual basic mountains in the deck and 4 forests. This is because I want to have green early so we can do some of the spells I'm going to talk about. But if we can find red, most of it is red, but I want the green early to ramp to do all the red stuff. So that's the way I've done it that way. Speaking of ramp, only gone with Sol Ring. We've got Farseek, Rampant Growth, Arcane Signet, and Ruby Medallion can be classed as ramp to a certain extent, I suppose. It reduces the cost for our red spells. I've chucked in Cultivate, and the other thing that I may class as ramp in this deck, just for the laugh factor, is one of the few non-dwarf creatures, is Azusa Lost But Seeking. So, there we go. But let's start talking about the deck itself. There's going to be a lot of dwarfs that people probably haven't seen in this deck, and there's at least a couple that aren't dwarfs, but I'll come to that. I thought of a good reason as to why we have this. So Dwarfen Grunt, Mountain Walk for a 1/1. Spark Mage comes into play, deals 1 damage to a target creature a player controls. Elixir of Immortality, because our dwarfs are small. When they get killed off, we're going to need to get them back and try and win the game, hence why Elixir's here. And, it's like beer for dwarfs. Dwarfs like drinking beer, so that was my reason behind it. Same reason why Sol Ring and Arcane Signet are in here, apart from providing the ramp. Dwarfs like jewellery. One of the few non-dwarfs is Dockside Extortionist. I kind of figured that this might guy, trying to tell the story of dwarves, this guy may be nicking stuff from the dwarfs, hence why he's here. Plus the fact he can get treasure tokens, and dwarfs like treasure, as we all know. Dwarven Berserkers in, becomes block, gets +3 and +0, gains trample to the end of turn, so makes it a little bit hard to block. Blast Miner, can play it for the Morph, but you're more likely to play it face up so you can actually start destroying people's lands. It probably dies very quickly when people see what you're trying to do with it, but hey, it's a dwarf, let's get on with it. Likewise, Dwarven Miner's in as well for the same reason. They are exactly the same card, apart from the Blast Miner has Morph and the Dwarf Miner doesn't, but more land destruction if we need it. Electrostatic Infantry I thought was worth playing. We haven't got that many spells and instants in the deck, but it's another dwarf and I want to show off another dwarf. You can play more than what I've got on the deck. It probably is worth it, but I was trying to keep to a theme with dwarfs, so yeah. Fearless Liberator from Kaldheim's in. It's all quite nice because this one does boast in creating more dwarfs, so yeah, seems like a good plan. Obviously Magda's here, we're going to have all these dwarfs, we might as well be creating treasure tokens, and getting the 5 treasure tokens can help with some of the cards we've got a little bit further down the line in a minute, which I'll get to. Rimrock Knight from, forgotten, Eldraine, there we go. That's it, and then, you know, if you're going to go Eldraine dwarfs, you've got to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dwarfs as well. Because, you know, if we're going to do it, let's have all 7 of them in. And we can do 7 of these in the deck and not break the rules of Commander, which is really nice. Farseek, Rampant Growth, Arcane Signet, Ruby Medallion, I've already talked about. So, 3 drops. Dwarven Demolition Team. There's quite a few things coming around with Defender at the moment. There's a few walls appearing. Let's blow them up. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it's not good, but what the hell? It's fun. Dwarven Patrol's okay. You can have it's a 4/2 blocker, which is quite nice. And whenever you cast a non-red spell, you can untap it. We do have a few non-red spells, so hopefully that will help us get there. Dwarven Recruiter enters the battlefield. Search your library for any number of dwarf cards. Put them on top of your library in any order. That's fine. At least you know what dwarfs you're going to be drawing for the next few turns. Dwarven Thermagust. I'm not sure about this. Switch target creature's power and toughness until the end of turn. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be not good? It's a really weird bit of art on the card, but hey, it's a dwarf. It's gone in. Light up the stages here. We'll probably spectacle it at some stage if we can make an opponent lose life, so we can just do the whole thing and see what happens in the next couple of turns. Pardix Swordsmith. Discard a card at random. Gives it +2/+0 until the end of turn. Another dwarf. Dwarfs are fairly expensive. Plundering Barbarian you've probably seen from Forgotten Realms. This comes in, gives us a bit of artifact removal, also gives us another treasure if we need it for, Magda's ability over here. I have included Wheel of Fortune. Again, this is another card you don't need to play in the deck, but I figured it's worth having it in just so I can, if I don't like my hand, get rid of it, get 7 more, get some more dwarfs, keep going, keep going, keep going. No other reason for it apart from that. Balthall the Stout's in because it's a dwarf, and we do have some of our dwarfs are barbarians, he says, trying to desperately find one. There you go, there's one. I think some of them have been errated as well, going through, berserkers. I don't know, maybe there aren't any more. Maybe they're all berserkers, maybe there aren't any more dwarven barbarians. But hey, it's a dwarf. Barbarians, there may be some barbarians coming later up, but it's still a dwarf, and I'll just, legendary creature might have something dwarf in. Hammer of Porphyros. Dwarfs like hammers. This seems like a good one. Plus it gives them all haste, which makes life a little bit more interesting. Dwarven Blood Ballers in as well. Tap an untapped dwarf you control. Target creature gets +2 until the end of turn. It's really nice if you can hit it on the Electrostatic Infantry, because this has got trample, so you can use the Bloodbath to tap the dwarfs and give this a really big pump to its power, and it's got trample, so it's going to get through it a lot of the time, hence why it's here. Azuzu Lost But Seeking. You can work out why that's in here. The other card I did want to mention is Beastmaster Ascension. Dwarves, as we all know, traditionally get angry when they get into fights, so I figured Beastmaster Ascension, we're going to be attacking with them, and if we can get 7 counters on this, our dwarfs get very big very quickly, which makes people, you've got a lot of 2-drop dwarfs. Getting them attacking is not the end of the world, just to get the Beastmaster counters up. Going on to the 4 drops, Bomb Squad's in. Put a fuse counter on target creature at the beginning of your upkeep with put a fuse counter on each creature with a fuse counter on it. And whenever a creature has 4 or more fuse counters on it, remove all for those counters and it deals full damage to its controller. Yeah, okay then. But it's still a 1/1. Dwarven Drillers in. Destroy target land unless its controller has Dwarven Driller, deal 2 damage to them. Reinforcements, just the full tail and get small berserkers. Mind Layer, put some counters on a target land, and whenever a land with a mind counter on it becomes tapped, destroy it. You'll probably find that this will get shot, killed very quickly. But it's worth a try. Porphyros, because I figured that's who the gobs might worship. They like mana, they like making things. Plus the fact, it gives us a way of pumping our creatures up. They're not the biggest creatures in the world, as I said, but we'll probably have a lot of mana floating around at some stage to get the pumps going. So yeah. Stormkiln Artisan for each artifact we control, and we're going to have lots of treasures. Like I say, there's not many instants and sorceries in the deck, so there's probably not going to create treasures that often, but it's a 2/2 dwarf. Let's go for it. Dragons, dwarfs and dragons seem to go together in literature sometimes, so I've chucked a Tushi in, mainly because when it dies it creates 3 treasure tokens, so that's one of the reasons. And we all know what Magda does, you sack 5 and go and find a dragon, so this may be a quick way of getting a dragon. Torbrand, Thane of Red Fells in as well. It's a dwarf noble from Throne of Eldraine, and if a red source you would control deals damage, it does. It does extra 2 damage. Why am I talking to you all like you don't know what you're talking about? This is just silly deck, but I'm enjoying talking about it. So yeah, Torbrand's in. Why wouldn't we have it in at this stage? Likewise, Core of the Bounty's in. At worst that comes to the worst is you get to put a land from your hand into play, so you get an extra land drop. But if you're the Monarch still, you get to put a creature into place. You get to put one of your other little dwarfs into play, which is nice. Gerald Marshall Elsdrot's one of the other few non-dwarf creatures in the deck. Again, this is actually a new card from Dominaria United to Commander sets. But whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, it gets +3/+3 until the end of turn for each creature blocking it. So it does mean your dwarves get to punch through a little bit when the general's around. So they do become harder to block. Yeah, even your 1/1s become 4/4s when they get blocked, which makes things a little bit more complicated for your opponent. So hence why I've included it. And I figured, go back to Lord of the Rings, dwarfs and elves got friendly. Figured it was worth a try. I've chucked Berserker's Onslaught in. Having your little 1/1 dwarfs with double strike does give people a chance to think about it, especially if you've got Gerald Marshall in play, because they're 4/4s double striking, which is a lot more terrifying. Terror of the Peaks is one of the dragons I put in specifically, which we can search out with Magda if we get enough treasures, I'm hoping. So when we do play our little dwarves, they come in and they start pinging people 9 times out of 10, unless it's 7 dwarves, because they come in as big. So, there's a possible way of winning the game. Is it going to work? Don't know. Keeper of Fables. I can't remember what book I read once upon a time, but there was dwarfs and cats were quite friendly. Someone can let me know down below. So I decided to include this one, and it's nice because when our non-human creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. I mean, the only human we've got in the deck is Azusa. So yeah, basically everything when this is in play is going to be getting as a card. Gearhulk, the Verdurous one's in. Dwarfs like building things. It's a construct. I figured it might be something they're doing in their mountain homes, so hence the inclusion here. Arcane Bombardment is probably coming out right now while I'm thinking about it. I was thinking when I was building this deck that I was going to do a lot more with instants and sorceries. I haven't got that many in the deck, and it's probably a wasted slot at this stage. So let's have a quick think as I take it out and see what we can come up with. Red, green. I suppose actually Ancient Grudge is a good call, possibly. We could just put another dragon in. Yeah, let's just put another dragon in. Let's put the brood mother in. Someone's got to look after all the dwarfs. There you go. See, change on the fly. So let's go back to the rest of the deck. Combustible Gearhulk, another thing that dwarfs can build. Made sense to me. Bootlegger's Stash. Got to have something for the Docksides Distorters to get to. Plus the fact it's another way of creating treasures to help out if we want to get the dragons in play. Primeval Bounty. There's beasts around in dwarven territories. I remember war games where, there's at least one film we might all know where dwarves are riding pigs. I'll leave that there. I'm not going to mention it in case I get done for copyright. But yeah, play a dwarf, get something for it to ride. Cast something that isn't a dwarf, get some +1/+1 counters to make a dwarf bigger, and they take over land. We get some life back. So that seems like a plan. Garruk's, I couldn't think of a good reason to include Garruk beyond the fact that I wanted to dig down and find creature cards and put them into my hand. no other reason to do this. Dragon Broodmother, you've just seen me change around to take out the Arcane Bombardment, so hence you know this is now in here. Brass's Bounty, dwarves go exploring mountains, they find treasure, might as well have the Brass's Bounty in to keep it up. Old Gnawbones in as well as another dragon creature, just to go and find it with Magda if need be, and yeah, gives them more treasure tokens. It does, you know, dwarfs do work for Old Gnawborn. It goes and gives them treasures. Yeah, why not? Probably not the weirdest thing you've heard me say today so far. Blasphemous Act. Sometimes, you know, dockside extortionists might trick them all and, you know, need to kill all the dwarfs off. Wouldn't it be the first time goblins have killed all the dwarfs? And you know that film that I'm talking about as well. The Great Henge, purely because I just wanted to gain a little bit of life, and getting non-token creatures coming to with +1 and a bit of card draw. There's no other reason for it here. It probably won't come down early. It may come down very late in the game because, you know, at the end of the day, most of your dwarfs are like 1 or 2 tough power. They're not marvellous, but what the hell. You can make them a little bit bigger with a +1/+1 count on it, so we've gone with that. The final 3 cards in the deck are Expels, and this is where you really hope you've got Torbrand in play before you play these. Banefire's in. Hopefully we can get it up to above 5 or more, so we can't prevent it and can't damage it, and that will finish off something that's annoying us. Cracklewood Power is probably the biggest win condition in the deck. You want to be building up the treasures if you can, keep Magda alive, keep going with the treasures, and eventually get enough treasures in play that you can just kill your opponents with this, maybe with a little bit of help from Torbrand. But between Bootlegger's Stash, Brass's Bounty, Dockside, Magda, and, you know, maybe Plundering Pirate gives you that winning one you need. Hopefully we'll get there quick enough that we can just kill everything in sight with the Crackle of Power. The last one, because I thought it'd be funny, is Genesis Wave. You're going to have a lot of mana flowing around. This isn't the most expensive converted mana cost deck in the world, so it could be a case of we'll have lots of mana kicking around. At the end of one turn we'll draw this, and all of a sudden we'll just have a whole Dwarven army appear on the tabletop. But that's it. That's the plan of the deck. Yes, I did tell a little fibby at the start of the video, but it is just good fun. I'm not sure it's going to do anything, but I figured it's worth trying it out. I'll be playing it on the stream at some stage in the near future, so yeah, down below, come and follow me on Twitch. I'm still trying to get up to 150 followers before my birthday, which is now a fortnight away. So if you can come over and give me a little follow, I'd really appreciate it. Obviously, same thing if you've got an Amazon Prime sub you're not using on anyone else. Yeah. Birthday present, not just saying, just 1 month, I'll be happy. But we're at 110 at the moment. I'd really like another 40 followers. Likewise here on YouTube, if you can hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get this up to 100. As I record this video this morning, I'm sitting at 51, so if I can get another 49 people just to hit that subscribe button, just to help the algorithm out a little bit as well, I'd really appreciate it. But anyway, the silly deck is Lady of Otaria for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I am going to be playing it on stream. It is just fun. I don't think dwarves are that great a tribe, to be honest. I don't think, yeah, and I expect everyone will agree with me. But if I have missed anything out you think I should have in the deck, let me know down below in the comments. I can always go back and change it and do an updated deck list. But thanks for watching this. Take care, and hopefully you'll watch another video soon, or I'll see you on my Twitch stream. Take care. Bye.